Hello, welcome. This is Bart Thompson again, and we are going to try something that we haven't done yet since the pandemic, and that is do a Bible study. And we're going to do a Bible study for the charge, and for those outside the charge that are interested to participate with us. I envision doing it through videos that we'll release through Facebook. And then toward the end of the study, once or I have learned how to do Microsoft Teams, we will have a large discussion via that vehicle. So we're going to see how many weeks this goes, and it may creep into November. And then once we have the mastery of this technology, of course, we want to learn this so that we can have an Advent study. So we're going to start with a book of a study that I've had for a while, but it's meant a lot to me, and I've just never found the right time to use it. It's a curriculum that was made, and you can get this at warwoodumc.org. warwoodumc.org. This is where the curriculum is, and please download it and use it and follow along. But let me introduce it to you. The curriculum was made by the Corey Mealy community in their public theology department. And it was written by my good friend who has unfortunately died, Glenn Jordan. And Glenn Jordan was a public theologian. And he had a way of seeing the gospel in a practical, life-changing way. He saw the gospel in ways that made it make sense in today's world, and how we can actually apply what we learn from Scripture and use it to be better disciples in this modern age. It was also written in conjunction with the theologian and poet Patrick Trotuma. So it is wonderful material. I have edited just to take out some things that were related to issues that are happening in Northern Ireland that don't impact us in North America or the United States, namely Brexit. So this was a study that was created to look at border issues for Brexit. So Glenn, when we had a pilgrimage team over, said this would be a perfect study for Americans, because he noticed what had happened in the United States with our politicizing of our borders. And it always takes someone from outside a place to tell the truth. And so he said this would be an excellent study for Americans. So, as Americans, as people of faith, as people who are here because people immigrated, all of us are here because someone in our ancestry came from somewhere else. So crossing borders matters to us. So the book of Ruth, it's about crossing borders. It's about crossing borders because it's about dealing with immigration. It's about dealing with migration. It's about dealing who's in and who's out, who's a part of the community, who's not a part of a community. It deals with what happens when a group has to move because of a famine, being a refugee. It has to do with family situations that arise because of migration. And it deals with the human impact of communities. This is a perfect text for us to study because it is asking us to look at things not in big sweeping scapes. It's asking us to look at things in a very human level, the way that we normally look at immigration, the way that we would normally look at insiders and outsiders and people that belong or don't belong. And it's asking us to expand our minds and to see things with compassion. So the book of Ruth, again, is 4 chapters. Naomi, Ruth, Boaz are the main characters. It's essentially a family unit. And in today, we're just going to do an overview. You'll have homework. And the homework is download the curriculum and then read chapter 1 of the book of Ruth. That's your homework. And I'll reassign that later. But just kind of an overview of a few things. Ruth is the second of the 5 short books in the Hebrew Bible, and it's called the Megilloth, or the 5 Scrolls. And this is a wonderful book in that it is put in the liturgical calendar of our Hebrew brothers and sisters between Shavuot and their Pentecost. And it is read along with the sweeping stories of Exodus 19 and 20, the story of Moses on the top of the 10 Commandments. So it's done in conjunction with those sweeping, grand, wonderful things that's happening with the 10 Commandments. And, liturgically, we have been following the story of Moses, as if you've been doing the Old Testament readings. We've just completed the top of the Mount Sinai and the coming of the 10 Commandments. So you have there's images of God, the smoke mountains, the trembling earth, God speaking, and then you break it down, and then there's Ruth, the book of Ruth, the story of Ruth, and it's not about grand sweeping gestures. It's about survival. It's about survival. It's about hunger and isolation and bereavement. It's trying to find home. It's migration, and it's finding kindness. It's securing a place. It's looking for displaced people to find a home. It's where Boaz, the wealthy landowner, provides food, and that Ruth finds a place in the lineage of King David eventually. So there's a whole lot of symbolism. There's a whole lot of work. There's a whole lot of hope in the midst of the tragedy. And that's some good news that we need to hear now in the midst of everything that we're going through with this pandemic, is that there is hope in the midst of tragedy, that we're not abandoned, that God is indeed with us. The study will be broken down again in 4 chapters, and the 4 chapters, remember, download the curriculum so that you can study along with us, is chapter 1, which we're going to be working on next week, or the next video. We'll shoot for next Wednesday, is Crossroads Decisions. That's the name of the chapter. And basically, we're talking about the successive tragedies that happen with Naomi. Many things have happened in her life. And she is an Israelite woman, and she decides to return home, Bethlehem, and to be among her home people. She's widowed, and her sons are dead. She has 2 daughter-in-laws. Both of them are Moabites, foreigners. And she tries to tell them to stay in their own country because there's nothing for them in Israel. But one stays in Moab, and Ruth insists on going with her back to Judah, back to Israel, Judah, the southern kingdom. So she goes. So Ruth goes to Judah with Naomi, and we're going to be looking at that in that first lesson. So that's next week. That's what we're going to study intently. But chapter 2 is about the migrant worker. It's going to be about how these two women gleaning fields for Boaz, and what all that means as they work on trying to find a place to live, and finding some economic security when there is none. And then chapter 3 is whose family, and this is Naomi takes charge, trying to fix the plight of what's happening, and Ruth takes physical and reputational gambles in visiting Boaz on the threshing floor. So hijinks takes place, and hopefully I won't blush when we discuss that. And then our fourth chapter, a complicated end. We find that there is a marriage between Boaz and Ruth, and that there is hope, a good way to end, and that we will discuss what all that means, and as Ruth becomes part of the lineage of King David in this. Again, the liturgical setting, this is set between Shavuot and Pentecost in the Jewish calendar. It presents with us the possibility of how the law and kindness and love are the goals, rather than ritual purity and proper intent, and that is the divine goal, is kindness and love for other. Because sisters and brothers, let's be honest, we've all been the other at one point or another. So we're going to be looking as we do this study, we'll be looking at stereotypes, because even in our day and age, we come up with words to stereotype people that aren't like us. So we'll be looking at what those things mean. And also we'll be learning and challenging character and relationship, and how relationship can, and more often than not, triumph blood and ethnicity. And hopefully that it will. We'll be looking at compassion. There is a principle that's established in this book as we study it, and this principle is about a law that ensures compassion, and if the law doesn't ensure compassion, then it must be changed, and how that will impact us in our own nation, in our own time, in our own understanding. Kinship, the circle of kinship, who belongs, who doesn't belong, how blood is not as significant as we make it out to be. And this is the hope that we'd have, that this is what we're going to look at as we study this book. Again, it's only 4 chapters. It's a short book, but it's a powerful book, a powerful story, a story that all of us can relate to, dealing with issues that as a country and as individuals and as communities we're asked to deal with. And so we're going to look at it so that we can have an understanding as a people of faith, and not be so driven by politics or political parties, but we're going to let our faith inform our politics. Let our faith drive us to conclusions that are compassionate and kind. Also, just an aside before I stop this first video, Bethlehem means house of bread. And I want you to understand that. I want you to know that. That's what it means in Hebrew, house of bread. So if you're starving and you had to leave Bethlehem, the house of bread, to go to Moab, and then things don't work out the way you want to return to the house of bread, that shows a longing there for home, a longing there for justice, a longing there to have a satisfied, hungry heart. So I look forward to all of us studying together and learning together. I look forward to us adapting and learning new technology. I look forward to us, having the big discussion at the end of our video segments. Again, this is posted at warwoodumc.org. You can find it there, and it is called the Ruth study. And if you do find a notation or something talking about Brexit, just ignore it. It means I didn't read it as closely as I thought I did. So please, for next time, next week, next Wednesday, which will be Wednesday I'm going to turn around now and look at the calendar. This is the 7th, the 14th. So on October the 14th, there will be a video posted about chapter 1 of the curriculum and chapter 1 of the book of Ruth. So please read chapter 1 of the curriculum called Crossroad and Decision, and chapter 1 in the book of Ruth. All right. When we do a Bible study, people often ask, what's a good study Bible? I will recommend always a New Revised Standard Version. You don't have to have an old Bible like this. I mean, I bought this when I went to seminary. This thing is coming up on 30 years old. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's over 30 years old, in the mid-90s. So, no, it's only 25. I got ahead of myself. So, the New Revised Standard Version, the new Oxford Annotated Bible. It's not so new now, but that's a good study Bible. I recommend that. But anything like the NRSV, any NRSV study Bible, it's great to study with. There are insights at the bottom with footnotes, great introductions. So you can't go wrong with that. So I recommend that. But you can also find, in this modern day and age, online. So you can type in NRSV online and read along, and there's great free resources online as well. So one more time. Read Crossroads and Decisions, chapter 1 of the Ruth study, and read chapter 1 in the Bible of Ruth. All right. Look forward to seeing you all, or listening to you all on the 14th. If you have questions, you can email me at reverendbart@gmail.com. Let me spell that out. REV as in Victor, D as in David, BART @gmail.com. If you have questions, email me there. This will be posted on Facebook, so if you have questions and you're a Facebook person, directly put it down. This will also be posted on YouTube, so if you have questions there, you can just hit me on YouTube as well. Alrighty. that's it. Look forward to our time together, and I look forward to our time when we have the big discussion at the end of all this. Look for the date and time, because I got to master that technology already. Thanks. God bless. Let's learn together. Bye.